I'm a 31-year-old woman with a deep suspicion that something strange is going on between my 33-year-old husband and my 30-year-old best friend Maria. My husband thinks I'm just imagining things and is upset with me for not trusting him enough. Please tell me if this is all in my head or if you also find the situation from last weekend suspicious. Maria and I have been best friends since college. She has always been very outgoing, while I am more of an introvert. Maria has always been a bit promiscuous and loved drama. She had many boyfriends and hookups in college. She is also very beautiful, and I always felt invisible when I was around her because I have weight issues. I have always felt overshadowed by her. I was always very shy, and my husband was the first person I ever dated. Maria always teased me for only being with one guy in my life. As we have grown older, Maria has yet to be in a real long-term relationship. I feel that things have reversed now, and she keeps telling me how lucky I am to have such an ambitious and reliable husband by my side. Around 6 months ago, my husband came to me and told me that he felt Maria was trying to flirt with him. He does not like Maria but tolerates her for me. During one of the dinner parties, Maria was acting very flirty around my husband. She was just laughing extra loudly at all his jokes, complimenting his fitness and touching him on the shoulders and arms. My husband told me that he felt uncomfortable with her behavior and asked me to talk to Maria. I was pissed off and talked to Maria. She got angry at me and said that she had known my husband for over a decade. He is like a brother to her. She felt my husband was trying to destroy our friendship because he did not like her. I felt she was genuine and let it go. Maria soon joined our gym because she wanted to take yoga classes with me. However, she spent more time in the weights room where my husband is. Again, my husband made comments about how she is always half naked in the gym and asked him to spot her. Maria complained that my husband is being rude and unhelpful to her. I again took her side and told my husband to be helpful and nice to her, as she is my best friend. My husband said he would make more effort. I slowly started seeing them getting more and more friendly and working out together. I wanted to be cool, but I felt jealous. So now to what happened last weekend. Maria invited a bunch of her friends for a birthday party at her apartment. There were 7 guests there, including my husband and I. Maria kept on pushing tequila shots on all of us. Eventually, most of us got drunk. Maria was sitting next to my husband and was being very flirty with him, but I could see my husband not reciprocating, so I didn't care. Maria insisted we stay back at her place, and my husband and I slept in the guest bedroom. The other 3 guests, who were her coworkers, 1 guy and 2 girls, crashed on the sofas in the living room. I was drunk, and the last thing I remember was my husband bringing me to the guest room. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I was alone in bed. I could hear some moaning noises from outside. I quickly started looking for my phone in the dark. In that process, I dropped something from the nightstand on the floor. The noises stopped and I heard a door open and close outside. I quickly got up to see where my husband was. When I reached the hallway, I saw my husband, just in his jeans with no shirt on. I asked him where he was, and he said he went to the restroom and asked if I was okay. I said yes, and he came and slept next to me. He was sweaty. I asked him where his shirt was, and he said that the heater was too high, and he felt hot. His t-shirt was on a chair next to the bed. I lay down, but I was barely able to sleep after that. I got up early and went into Maria's room, and she was sleeping alone naked. I told her we were taking off, and she got up to see us off. I kept this all to myself, and when we reached home and my husband went to take a shower, I immediately checked his phone. I could not find any messages between him and Maria. I spent the whole day thinking about it and finally confronted my husband regarding it at night. He was pretty angry at me and told me that he hates Maria, and the only reason he tolerates Maria is because of me. I told him about the moaning noises, and he said he also heard the same when he went to the restroom but thought they were coming from the living room. He is still angry at me, that I can accuse him of something so horrible, and has told me that if I'm really that insecure, I should cut off my friendship with Maria. He also told me that he was never going to be in the same room as Maria ever again. I have no idea what to do. On one hand, I know my husband would never cheat on me, but it's just impossible to get the doubts out of my head. I keep on picturing my husband and Maria together in her bed. Am I the asshole to confront my husband and accuse him of cheating, just because of what I saw and not having any real proof? How do I know what happened? If I confront Maria and accuse her, she is also going to be equally mad at me. I don't know her co-worker friends well enough to trust what they say. I just feel stupid for trying to push for friendship between my husband and Maria. Please help. Update: they are texting via Facebook Messenger. Relevant comments: Maria is not your best friend. I say that sincerely as someone who also had best friends like Maria throughout my life. I had a best friend like this who was prettier, funnier, more outgoing and better with men during college. My boyfriend did not like her either. She also tried to flirt with him. I worried about this too. However, I was wrong. My boyfriend did not cheat on me, and it is unlikely your husband cheated on you with her if he dislikes her so much. It is much more likely that his story is true. He was hot and took his shirt off. Drinking can make you feel hot, especially with a heater on and while sleeping. Listen, as someone who has been through this, put some distance between yourself and Maria. You do not have to cut her out completely, but maybe reduce your contact to about 20%. But we have been through so much together. Yes, I know. But what is even better than that is having friends who you are not worried will try to steal your husband. Judgment. Maria is an AH. Your husband is not the AH. You are still to be determined. Take this as a chance to apologize and move on. If you do not, you will be the AH. OP, thanks. Needless to say, I will increase our distance from Maria. I feel threatened by her, especially since I see her flirting with my husband, and I am not okay with it. She does the same thing with most other men, so I always chalked her behavior up to, this is just how she is. I hope what you are saying is true about my husband. The fact that I cannot get it out of my head and it has been almost 5 days since the incident makes me very anxious. I have apologized to my husband, and he says it is okay, but I can see he is still angry with me. Top comments. Most of the comments I have read focus on Maria and discuss how she is not your friend, and I agree. But I want to talk about the fact that you really need to be a better partner to your husband. He has expressed discomfort many times, and you have flatly ignored his feelings and brushed them aside. You have even encouraged him to be close to someone he does not like. Stop it, OP. This is wrong. If someone was constantly flirting with and harassing you, how would you feel if your partner told you to get over it and play nice? Respect your husband's decision to never be around Maria again. If he said, I will never be in the same room as her again, let that be the law of the land. It is not your place to try to force him to be around her and then get mad when you can tell the vibes are off, which he has explicitly told you over and over. Do better, OP. Your husband should never have to see her again, and I do not know why you would want to either. Some friends do not stay in your life forever. This is done. Move on from her to try to save your marriage. Update 1, March 13th, 2024, 1 month later. I had posted about a month ago regarding suspecting my husband and my best friend Maria sleeping together while I was drunk and passed out in another room. A lot happened during the last month, and my mental health is at its lowest due to the betrayals. However, I think I now know what happened that night. I am sorry for the long post. So the day after my husband and I stayed at Maria's house for her birthday party, I was unable to shake the feeling that something happened between them. I am not proud, but I checked my husband's phone and all his messaging apps. I only found a brief chat between my husband and Maria on Facebook Messenger. Maria thanked my husband for coming to her birthday party and for such a great night. She sent him a photo of them hugging at the end of the night, after I was asleep. My husband told Maria that I suspected that something happened between them and asked her to talk to me. Maria told him that she would talk to me. Maria called me the next day and told me that I was crazy and she would never think of doing such a thing to me. She sounded convincing, but I just couldn't shake the gut feeling that something happened. I told her why I suspected them. And she called me crazy and that my head was making up stuff that did not exist. I also mentioned that I saw her photo with my husband after I was asleep and she should have kept her distance from him. I decided to distance myself from her, as I no longer trusted her as a friend. We also changed the times we went to the gym so that we don't run into her. After a week or so, she messaged my husband on Facebook Messenger that they should tell me the whole truth. My husband kept on asking her what she was talking about, but she kept on telling him that she felt guilty. My husband came to me and told me that Maria is sending messages to him and he is not sure what she is inferring. He kept on assuring me that nothing happened between them that night. I told him that I read their secret chats on Facebook Messenger. He gaslighted me, calling me insecure and that Maria was trying to play with my head. I finally decided to go to Maria's house and ask her what was going on. Maria initially kept on saying that she did not want to talk about it. However, finally, she broke down and told me what happened. She told me that during the night of the birthday party, my husband kept on staring at her. After they realized I was too drunk, he took me to the bedroom and again went back to the living room. At this point, he was sitting next to Maria and kept on touching her legs playfully. Maria was also very drunk and they decided to call it a night in 30 minutes. Maria said that my husband followed her to her room and he started undressing her and they were intimate together. She told me that she was too drunk to consent to anything and felt like he essayed her. She kept quiet to keep peace, but it was bugging her from inside. I asked her if she was sure she was too drunk that night, and she said that although she was drunk, she remembers all the details. I confronted my husband, but he still kept on telling me that what he was telling was the truth, and Maria never liked him and was playing me for a fool. He was so angry at me that he left the house and is currently living in a hotel nearby. He keeps on calling me and asking me to trust him, but I don't know how I can trust him now. I never expected him to do such a thing. Maria has also been trying to talk to me and asking me to be there to support her. However, I do not know if I can look at either one of them. I am just going to try and cope with the situation and plan to go and live with my parents for a few days until my husband and I agree about our future. I know you all thought I was crazy in the previous post, but I knew in my gut that something was wrong, and never expected my life to suddenly come to this point. Relevant comments. If you are looking for some honesty, have you noticed that your friend's version of the story just so happens to make your husband look like the bad guy and her completely innocent and a victim? After her messaging that they should come clean and that she feels bad? Which one is it? Does she feel bad about what she did, or was she just a victim? It smells like nonsense. OP. The thing is, I do not know what to believe. On one hand, I trust my husband. However, my mind just will not let go of the image of them hooking up that night, and it haunts me like a nightmare. How would I even know who is telling the truth? I am just going mad at this point, trying to think of every small detail that I might be missing. I have told my husband I need some time, and he understands. However, he also asks how he can prove something that never happened. Top comment. You are conveniently believing Maria over your husband again. As others have mentioned, it is odd that she would thank him for a great night but then claim to you that she was sexually assaulted. I do not know, but it seems to me you would rather believe the worst about your husband. Truth be damned. Final update, March 22nd, 2024, 9 days later. I posted about my husband and my best friend Maria having an affair. Although I did not have any solid proof that anything happened, my friend came clean and told me that my husband saved her while she was drunk. I initially did not know who to believe and thought my friend was telling the truth. My husband was upset that I did not trust him and left the house to stay at a hotel. After posting the update, I read the comments until 4 a.m. and cried uncontrollably. I let my insecurities and crazy trust Maria when it was clear that my husband was telling the truth. Sorry for the long post. You helped me so much and might have saved my life. For the few people who deemed me vile messages, I am mentally unstable, but that does not mean I need to end my life. I was not always insecure. When I met my husband a decade ago, we were both overweight. He never cared about my weight as long as I was happy. A year before we married, I had an idea where we would lose weight before our wedding date. He took his fitness seriously and lost 40 pounds that year, while I was not disciplined and did not lose any. Our wedding photo looks like Ryan Reynolds is marrying Princess Fiona from Shrek. This made me insecure about my weight. It did not help that my mom and Maria kept on telling me that I needed to lose weight, or else he would leave me for someone more beautiful. The question in my mind was not if he would leave me, but when. He knows my struggles and has always been supportive and loving towards me. I went to meet him in the morning, and I have never seen him so broken. I started apologizing and crying, and he was trying to calm me down for almost an hour. I told him I trusted him completely and apologized that I did not see it sooner. He just looked stone-faced. He said he knew I would trust him eventually, but he is worried about Maria. He kept checking his social media because he was scared she might post about it. He said he could not imagine what his parents, friends, and co-workers would think if they saw the accusations. He told me that we need to talk to Maria to not spread such lies. I told him in detail what Maria told me, and he told me what happened that night. He said that I fell asleep on his lap around 1:30 a.m. He woke me up and took me to the bedroom. He came out to say goodbye to everyone, but the party was already dying. My husband was not drunk. He generally never drinks more than 1-2 drinks ever, but Maria and her friends were very drunk. Maria wanted to take some final pictures and went to everyone and made silly poses. That was the photo she sent to my husband. She asked my husband if he could come with her to the bedroom to get some blankets and pillows for others. My husband told her he needed to check on me, and the other male co-worker volunteered to go with her and get stuff. My husband then came to the room and slept. He woke up 2 hours later and went to the restroom. He confirmed that he heard the moaning noises, but they had stopped when he came out of the restroom. We decided to talk to Maria, and I invited her to our house on Saturday evening. She was shocked to see my husband with me in the house. My husband told her that she knew what she was saying was wrong, and he still had the messages where she thanked him the next day. Maria got defensive and started telling me that she blacked out that night, but later slowly started to put together what happened that night since she was naked when she woke up. She asked me why she would sleep naked without locking the room door when her co-workers were in the next room. She said that she remembers my husband coming to her room and having sex with her, while she was extremely drunk. My husband told Maria that none of this happened, and she kept on insisting that she clearly remembered him naked and having sex with her. He told her, if that was true, tell me how big his penis was. She was taken aback and shouted at him, just because it was huge does not mean I enjoyed the sex, and that she was extremely drunk. I asked Maria if she was sure, and she said she would never forget it. The thing is, my husband is noticeably smaller than average in that area. I am not complaining as he always gets the job done, but I knew Maria was full of shit. A screaming match began between Maria and me, and I told her she was full of shit and to get out of my house. I told her that if she accused my husband, I would stand by him and tell everyone I was in the next room, and none of this happened. Maria was crying at this moment and told me to enjoy my life with a rapist. I hugged my husband, but he still looked void of any emotions. He told me not to freak out, but he had planned to visit his parents' house to reset his head before I talked to him. I wanted to be with him, but he insisted he wanted to be alone for a week and will be back on Saturday. He also called my mom to come to our house, so I'm not alone. We told her what happened, and she was very angry at me. I have been talking to him all week on the phone, and he plans to return tomorrow. I feel lucky and undeserving of such a good husband and cannot believe I was so close to losing him. I have not heard from Maria, but at this point our friendship is over. Again, thanks to everyone who sent well-meaning messages to me all through the week. I truly appreciate it. I have signed up for therapy this week and hopefully will be able to be a better wife to my husband forever. Last update, July 11th, 2024. I wrote a few posts 4 months ago regarding my friend Maria falsely accusing my husband of sleeping with her and calling it SA because she was too drunk that night. I received a lot of messages this morning asking what happened. Not sure why. So I will just briefly write what happened here instead of replying to everyone. My husband left the house to be with his parents the day after I wrote the post. I became really paranoid after reading all the comments that he may never come back. He assured me that he will be back soon, but I just became paranoid and went there. We had a lot of heart-to-heart discussions, and he told me how hurt he was that I chose to listen to Maria instead of backing him up. I told him how I made a terrible mistake and I would never doubt him again. We came back home after a week. After coming home, my husband and I still kept on talking about the incident. Maria went no contact with us for a week, and then suddenly started calling me and messaging me if she could meet me. I had decided to cut her off from our lives. However, my husband told me that there is a very high chance that her co-worker might have essayed her and she did not remember things correctly. We discussed it, but my husband insisted that I should at least hear her side before deciding to break friendship with her. He also told me that she was not welcome in our house anymore and he will never forgive her. He suggested that I should meet her in a public place. I agreed and called Maria to meet at a coffee shop one evening. Maria cried a lot and apologized to me for the whole thing. She said that she was very drunk by the end of the night. She remembered me passing out on the sofa and my husband taking me to the room. She also remembered asking my husband for help with getting some stuff from the bedroom. She said that she woke up naked and could feel she had sex. She has memories of my husband having sex with her. However, after our fight, she started thinking if they were just drunken false memories. The only other guy in the house was her coworker. She confronted him and he told her the truth about what happened. According to him, he came to her bedroom to get the pillows and bedding. Maria kissed him and they made out. After everyone went to sleep, her co-worker went back to her room after an hour and they had sex. Her co-worker told her that she asked him to come to her room after everyone was asleep and that is why he went back. He also told her that she was awake when he went to her room. She was the one who initiated everything. Maria did not say anything to him in the morning or talk about it afterwards. He felt that Maria wanted to just drunkenly hook up and was uncomfortable talking about it later. Maria was very apologetic and told me that she was very drunk, and her mind just convinced her that my husband was with her that night. I asked Maria if she likes my husband and if she really meant to kiss my husband that night. She told me that she would never do that to me. She told me that she felt so guilty about the whole thing and also messaged my husband to confess everything to me. She says that if she liked my husband, why would she ask him to confess everything to me instead of just carrying on with the affair secretly? She said that she likes my husband as a friend but would never dare to do anything that would cause me pain. I feel her story makes sense. I told my husband about what happened. He also felt that it made sense that it was the co-worker who went to her room that night, and as he was the same height and build as my husband, she might have constructed the false memories in her mind. He told me that I could be friends with Maria as it was my choice, but he can never forget the hell she put him through for those 2 weeks, which almost cost us our marriage. He said that he forgives Maria but will never forget what she did. Maria called him on the phone to apologize, and he told her he forgives her. However, he also told me that he will never interact with Maria without me being present. Maria started dating that coworker after the incident for a few months, but he cheated on her and now Maria is single again. I was her shoulder to cry on after she broke up with him, and I felt that brought us back closer. She is so beautiful but has the worst luck with men. I signed up for therapy myself and am really working on my low self-esteem and anxiety issues. I have also lost a lot of weight in the last 3 months, and it has helped my mental health tremendously. I still have a long way to go, but my husband's unconditional love for me does give me confidence that I must be doing something right. I also felt bad commenting about my husband's private parts in the last post. All I can say is he is more than enough for me, and I love him a lot and would never change anything about him. The silver lining is I know Maria is a blabbermouth and must have told all my friends about it. My husband is a very handsome man, and I was always worried about my friends hitting on him. However, I feel now they will be less keen to flirt with him. Again, I know I am not perfect, and I'm working really hard to improve myself. Please do not send offensive DMs to me or tell me that I do not deserve love from my husband. Relevant comments. OP on the conversations Maria told her about between the coworker and herself. OP. Yes. That was weird to me too. She described that she was too drunk to remember anything, but she believed her coworker when he told her that she initiated everything. However, it is her life. She has the worst taste in guys and always dates sleazy men. Commenter. Maria sounds a little toxic, and I think sometimes friendships should just end. It is not anyone's fault, but personally, I would not put my husband in that position. Yes, he said he was okay with it, but he should not have to be okay with you keeping a relationship with someone who falsely accused him. OP. Yes. My husband does not hang out with Maria at the gym or other places anymore. In fact, he has only seen her once in person at my parents' place where Maria was also invited. I also avoided her for a while but felt bad for her after her coworker cheated on her. Struggling with face blindness, I broke up with my boyfriend who constantly tested me. He wants closure, but I fear more of his cruel pranks. Editor's note: prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, is a neurological disorder that makes it difficult to recognize faces and facial expressions. Original post April 4th, 2024. Hi everyone, I apologize for posting this, and if it's not appropriate, I can delete it. I have been with my boyfriend for almost a year now. I love him dearly, and I believe he loves me too, but there is one issue causing a lot of problems in our relationship. I suffer from prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, which makes it really difficult for me to recognize people's faces. I usually rely on other characteristics to identify people, such as hairstyle, facial hair, marks, skin color, accessories, etc. However, it is still very challenging. This condition has caused me severe anxiety and other mental health struggles. I am fortunate to have wonderful people around me who are aware of my condition and try to help. They introduce themselves when we start talking, wear something I associate with them, or find other ways to make it easier for me. Usually, my boyfriend does this too, but sometimes he likes to test me, and it is incredibly stressful. Once he shaved off his beard, and a few times he wore a completely different style of clothing or changed his hairstyle, all without warning me. During these moments, he won't tell me who he is or even say someone else's name, just to see if I will figure out it's him. He makes jokes about switching with one of his friends to see if I will stay loyal. Although I usually recognize him eventually, it causes me a lot of anxiety. We have had major arguments about this. He insists he is allowed to change his appearance. I'm not a cartoon character. While I ask him to warn me beforehand. Don't get me wrong, he cares about me, but I don't think he fully understands how stressful it is. How can I make it clear to him? We have a lot of great times together. This is just a bump in the road. Update. It's hard to believe I made this post 19 hours ago, and now I am in the middle of breaking up with him. I am very tired, so I will keep this brief. I went to talk to him, showed him this post, and told him he cannot do this anymore. The conversation was intense. First, he was angry I made this post. Then he was angry I was taking it all so seriously. There were lots of apologies and so on. He again said he was just trying to make a tough situation more lighthearted, and I said it's too much. He said I can't take a joke and I need to let him be himself. He argued that he always tells me when he's been joking, and that if he really wanted to hurt me, he would just do things without telling me. So him telling me proves he cares. That comment made me very uncomfortable. At one point, he said he just wanted to test if my condition was real, because he thought I could be using it as an excuse for something. I left after that because we were just going in circles. There was a lot of him making an issue out of one small thing. I am exhausted. He is still blowing up my phone with love and apologies, but you all made me realize a lot. Thank you, really. I am trying to stay rational about it, but it's hard because I do care about him a lot. I am going to get a few hours of sleep. Thank you again. Relevant comments. Comment 1. He is messing with your safety. Does he not realize that? OP, I don't think he realizes how confusing it all is. There was a moment when he did the opposite, acting all weirded out when I thanked him for a nice date, saying it wasn't him. Even though I knew it was, I still started to doubt myself. He did say it was a joke soon after, but it caused such a panic. He hasn't done it again, but it took me a long time to feel comfortable again. Comment 2. Making someone feel unsafe is not a joke. Gaslighting someone you care about is not a joke. Comment 3. Holy smokes, that's terrifying. Not recognizing a familiar face with a major change like that is like nightmare fuel. The fact that your boyfriend does it to you multiple times on purpose is scary. I don't know if there is a way you can explain it to him if he doesn't get it. It seems he enjoys your panic, which is not a good thing in a partner. If this was my partner, I would get a tattoo or something. And I don't have any. OP, my dad actually got a tattoo on his arm for me, which is a great comfort. I hadn't realized how messed up everything is until reading all these replies. Comment 4. Your boyfriend is basically abusing you in emotional situations. He thinks it's hilarious that you struggle and get severe anxiety, which isn't normal, nor does it mean he cares about you. This is a huge red flag. OP, abuse is a really big word, but I do agree it's not okay. I'm seeing him soon, so we'll see how it goes. Update, April 8th, 2024. Hi y'all, I hope it's okay if I post a little update. Things went completely crazy over the past few days, and I wanted to share what happened. First, I want to express my gratitude to all of you. I wasn't fully aware of the real implications of my boyfriend's pranks and what they said about him and our relationship until I read your comments. Your insights opened my eyes to how problematic his behavior was. The same evening I made my initial post, I went to talk to him, intending to make it clear that he couldn't continue with his pranks. The conversation escalated quickly. We talked for hours into the night and exchanged messages every day since. He was furious about the Reddit post I made, angry at you guys, and upset that I couldn't take a joke and listen to strangers. During our conversations, he admitted that in the beginning, he didn't believe I actually suffered from face blindness and thought I was using it as an excuse to cheat on him. He claimed that now he does believe me, but due to bad breakups in the past, he has a hard time trusting that I won't use it as an excuse regardless. He said he was joking about it to make a tough situation lighter and that it was just his sense of humor. He argued that if I loved him, I'd accept that. When I made it clear that I was done with the relationship, things got even worse. He began apologizing profusely, claiming he didn't realize it was such a big deal for me, which didn't make any sense given everything he had said before. In the same breath, he mentioned that at least he told me about his pranks. To those who thought he might have planned to trick me using one of his friends, you may be right. To be honest, I was done. I do care about him a lot. You can't just shut those feelings off. But it's never going to work. There have been countless messages, calls, and attempts to contact me. He hinted vaguely that he had pulled pranks I wasn't aware of. I don't know if that's true or if he's just in a bad place right now. He also came to my place to apologize again. However, I suspect he didn't expect me to immediately recognize him, as he didn't apologize until I said his name. He's not evil, but he's very messed up right now. I blocked him everywhere, told him not to show up anymore, and arranged for a friend to give him his stuff. I'm going to delete this account soon, but I wanted to thank you all for helping me realize the truth. I genuinely don't think I would have figured it out on my own. I'm heartbroken but also a bit relieved. Thanks for all the support and kindness. Relevant comments. Comment. I'm glad you broke up. Someone who loves you shouldn't ever do that to you. Just curious about your condition. Do you also have issues with recognizing voices as well as faces? I can only imagine how hard it must be to deal with. OP. Actually, voices are one of the traits I go by to recognize someone. Voices, posture, tattoos, hairstyle, and so on. Thank you loads. Am I the asshole for not giving my ex the closure he's asking for because he messed with my face blindness? April 21st, 2024. This is probably a bit silly, but that boy has got me questioning my own mind. Either way, sorry if this is a bother. I broke up with my boyfriend a few weeks ago. I had realized, in part thanks to Reddit, that some of his behavior was absolutely not okay, and when I tried to talk to him, the conversation escalated to me breaking up with him. I have a pretty severe case of face blindness, also known as prosopagnosia. It means I can't recognize or remember people's faces and have to rely on other characteristics to identify someone, such as their voice, hairstyle, posture, and so on. People around me know this and introduce themselves when we meet or do other things to make it easier for me. Despite these accommodations, I still suffer from a lot of anxiety because of it. My ex used to try and test me, which gave me a lot of stress. He would change his look without warning to see if I knew it was him, among other things. He called these actions pranks, saying he was just being a jokester. So we broke up. It's been a lot. He's been calling and messaging nonstop with both apologies and non-apologies until I blocked him. In moments of high emotion, I said things like I never wanted to see him again, and he would reply that he was hurt and that I wouldn't even know if it was him, and I was lucky he wouldn't do it. This made me feel very uncomfortable. He contacted me again yesterday through a new account, saying he just wants one more face-to-face conversation, if only to give him his stuff that is still at my place and get some closure so we can both move on. I told him my plan was to get a mutual friend to bring his things over to him. He was hurt by this response. He seemed a lot calmer than before and told me that we were together for a year and he just wanted one conversation after I suddenly broke things off. He said he had some time to process now and doesn't understand how he suddenly became so evil in my eyes that I couldn't have one chat with him after a year of loving each other. Despite his calm demeanor, I don't feel good about it. My gut is telling me this will not be a good conversation, and my worst fears are that he might play a trick to prove some point. Would I be an asshole if I don't reply anymore or just say no? Edit. I didn't expect all these replies. I hope it's okay to respond like this. Thank you all, really. I think I knew already but somehow started to doubt myself. The past few weeks have been a lot. I really appreciate and need these words. I'm ready for all of this to be over and done with. Also, just a little thank you in general. Reddit has been a wonderful community, and it has helped me a lot. Update. Am I the asshole for not giving my ex the closure he's asking for because he messed with my face blindness? May 11th, 2024. Editor's note. Changed initials to names for easier reading. Here's my previous post, for those who are interested. Hi. It's been a while, and since I'm still getting messages about this, I thought I'd just give one big update. More than a month ago, I broke up with my boyfriend because he kept pulling pranks involving my face blindness. I can't recognize faces and have to rely on other characteristics to identify someone, which is still confusing. After the breakup, he kept bugging me to meet up for closure. My gut told me not to, but I felt guilty. With your advice and my own gut feeling in mind, I decided not to meet him. I asked a friend, Roger, to bring him his stuff and kept him blocked, including blocking the new accounts he made. Roger returned with a letter from him, which was very apologetic. He took full responsibility and said he'd respect it if I chose not to reply. While I appreciated the gesture, I decided not to get in touch as I was still processing the breakup myself. However, he didn't let go as he said he would. Roger and other mutual friends told me he was asking about me a lot, wondering if I had read the letter and if I was seeing someone else already. A couple of days ago he showed up at my place, clearly not sober and very upset. Feeling sorry for him, I let him in, but as he sobered up, he became angrier. I messaged everyone I knew to come over as I didn't feel comfortable being alone with him. He accused me of not caring about him and claimed I had cheated on him without knowing it, suggesting he had his friend Mike, who has similar characteristics to him, kiss me on a night out without my knowledge. This made me feel sick to my stomach, thinking they might have played me. When I told him to leave, he refused, but thankfully, my friends arrived and got him out. I'm incredibly grateful for the people around me. Now I'm staying at my parents' place, taking a break from work, and looking into therapy. My parents, who have always been supportive, my dad even got a tattoo years ago so I'd never doubt it was him, are treating me like a princess and reminding me of the kindness people deserve. I haven't looked into a restraining order yet, but I might if this continues. Thanks to all of you for helping me see what's right in this situation. Reddit has been a wonderful community, and I'm very grateful. This will probably be my last update as this chapter is over, but I'm glad I got to pour my heart out to y'all. I have face blindness, and I don't know if I'm losing my mind or my ex is messing with me. June 30th, 2024. We broke up nearly 3 months ago, and it wasn't pretty. There were a lot of things that were not right between us. Among other things, he kept messing around and joking about the fact that I have a severe case of face blindness. I want to clarify that I wasn't perfect in this relationship either. I'm not trying to make him out to be the villain. Typically, I rely on voices, obvious traits, and so on to recognize people. I'm fortunate enough to have many wonderful people around me who will introduce themselves once we start talking, warn me if they change their looks, or even get or wear something that'll help me. For instance, my dad got a tattoo just for me. But it's still hard and gives me so much anxiety. So maybe I'm imagining it all. I stayed with my parents and young cousins for a while after the breakup, but since I've been home, I feel like he's still around. The first time this happened, I went to a club with a friend and her boyfriend. I started dancing with a guy and then went outside with him to get some air. The moment we stepped outside and I heard his voice, I knew it was him. I was so sure. I freaked out, went back inside, and left with my friend. I messaged him later, and he denied it vehemently, telling me he wasn't even near there and that we could meet up and talk if I wanted. My friend said she wasn't sure, as she was off with her boyfriend and didn't see him. So maybe I'm wrong. My gut says it was him, but I can't trust my brain with these things. There have been more incidents like this since. If I go out, sometimes I just feel like he's there. I'll see a guy focused on me and will know it's him, but he'll deny it. Or someone will come to my job, and I'll recognize the voice, but he responds so confused that I feel like a crazy person making a scene, so I just quietly give him what he needs. I'll go to the grocery store, and a guy will suddenly be next to me. He won't even say anything to me, but the smell and traits tell me it's him. But later, he denies it all. It's not every day or anything like that. Once a week, maybe not even that. But it's enough to make me feel so on edge. The thing is, I could be wrong. Maybe it was never him. I don't go out much anymore unless I'm with someone. I keep my phone in my hand in hopes of snapping a picture to show my friends. I'm looking into getting a camera. I don't know what else to do, really. I'm afraid if I talk to others about it, they'll simply dismiss it. At the same time, he's still messaging me, just as kindly as when we first started dating. He says he's worried about me and wants to help. And I just feel like I'm going crazy. Maybe I am. Has anyone ever messed with your prosopagnosia before? What did you do? July 2nd, 2024. I have a quite severe case of face blindness, but I have my own ways to get around, like many of us do. However, I can never be completely sure who's in front of me until they confirm it. I'm sure you know the feeling. Now, I have had wonderful people in my life who make it so much easier for me. But have you ever had people who don't do that? My previous boyfriend used to mess with me sometimes, and I sometimes worry he might still be. But it's hard to be sure when I can't trust what I see. Sometimes I'm so sure it's him, but he'll deny it, and I can never convince myself to be 100% certain of what I saw. Do you have any things you did to deal with people who messed with you? Or didn't take your prosopagnosia seriously? New update. Update. I have face blindness and I don't know if I'm losing my mind or my ex is messing with me. Turns out, it's both. July 19th, 2024 first. Thanks to the mods for allowing me to post this update. I don't know if anyone will see this, but I keep getting messages about this, very kind ones, for which I'm grateful, and thought I'd just do a wee update. I'm not in the best place mentally, so I will keep this short. This will also be my last one, as I've taken plenty of your time as is and don't really know what to do with the attention, though I'm extremely appreciative of all the support and advice. I posted here a while ago about how I wasn't sure if my ex was messing with me and my face blindness, or if I was just being paranoid. I now know it's both. I really did feel like a crazy person. The day I made the post, I broke off contact with him again. I got a few more messages from him, all kind and concerned-ish. Even some mutual friends, and one girl I barely know, reached out, saying they were worried because of what my ex told them. But here's the thing, I did manage to subtly make 2 videos, 2 different times, in which my parents could clearly see him. Honestly, I was an absolute mess. Since then, I've also been staying with my parents again and took a break from work. We're trying to look into a restraining order, but it's not that easy. However, there is some redemption. Roger, a buddy, exposed him entirely, doing what I lacked the guts to do. After that, I received some extremely angry messages from my ex, who stated things like, he just happened to be in the same place. Because of my fears, I'm now making him out to be a stalker. However, this doesn't explain how it happened at least twice in less than 2 weeks, or why he didn't just declare it was him. That's where we're at right now. I wish I could tell you more. I'm kind of stuck right now. I have no proof about the previous times. Even more so, there have been moments in the past weeks where I also thought it was him, and it wasn't, either confirmed by video or because I wasn't alone. Then there have been some times in the last weeks where I didn't manage to get any recording or photo. Though I am relieved to have some answers, I'm also heartbroken. I don't know how to process knowing there are people who will abuse my flaws in this way. I feel incredibly paranoid, and it's exhausting. I'm looking into moving away. At the same time, I'm hopeful this is the end of it, that him getting exposed will be the end of this. Multiple people have told him to back off and leave me alone. I'm happy to be home with my parents for now. I'm safe, thanks for all the advice. Relevant comments. Comment: dude is an abusive psycho. Put him on blast. He has serious mental problems. OP: I'm gonna sound like an absolute idiot, but I still often feel conflicted about it. I wish he'd just admit to everything. There's a lot of things that feel uncertain, and I'm having a hard time letting those go. Like, I only have proof about those 2 times. What if he's right and it was only those 2? Still wouldn't be okay, but IDK. Either way, just hope it all ends here. After being sexually abused by my stepfather, I lived with my dad. Recently, I discovered that he chose me over my former stepmother and half-sister. I was sexually abused between the ages 9, 13 by my stepfather. Both he and my mom will be behind bars for many years to come. When I was sent to live with my dad, I was broken. I barely spoke, didn't eat much if at all. I wasn't mad or angry. I was null of any kind of emotion. Basically, I was alive but wasn't living. I kept my interactions with everyone to the bare minimum. I was polite but didn't go out of my way to make conversation with anyone. I was more social with my dad, but I kept it to a bare minimum. I had nothing left to say to anyone. It took me 2 years for me to be able to allow my dad to show any form of parental affection towards me. That's how withdrawn I had become. Dad was my rock throughout the whole thing. When I experienced night terrors, I would wake up and either find my dad holding my hand or him holding me. He drove me to all of my therapist appointments. He made sure I was eating properly. There were days I would break down for no reason, and he would just hold me and tell me that everything will be okay. He literally went above and beyond for me. I hated the city that we were living in. Because I had so many bad experiences there, it made living there miserable. I was so passive, it was scary. My therapist had told my dad that I was stuck in the victim cycle. I didn't know how to get out. Because of this, I was bullied quite a bit. By the time I was 15, I had been to 3 different schools. It got to the point where my dad pulled me out of public school and enrolled me into online classes. I was always very studious and managed to maintain a 94% average overall, but my life lacked any sort of direction. Nothing would motivate me. Looking back, Dad did spoil me, but at the time I wasn't aware of it. I was so in my own body that I barely acknowledged my surroundings. If I asked my dad for a new bedspread, I would get me a new one plus new furniture. My phone of 5 years broke and Dad got a new one plus a laptop. I was grateful and thanked him. I did share with my half-sister and stepsister at the time. Again, I was being polite. I didn't have any form of relationship with my former stepmother, stepsister, or half-sister. I barely knew what it was like being a son at the time, let alone being a brother. By the time I was 16, Dad had approached me and told me that he and he are moving out. I didn't question it. He had asked me to pack my things and we moved into a rental. I didn't think it was any of my business, so I didn't press the issue. A year later, Dad had divorced my stepmother. One of Dad's business acquaintances offered him a partnership in Boston, and he took it. We moved, and I felt I was ready to start my senior year of high school in a public school. That year was probably the best year of my life. I was coming out of my shell. There was no fear of being judged or being the odd man out. It was as if I was like everyone else. I felt normal. I became more social, made a lot of friends, got into sports, clubs, and went out more. Us moving probably saved my life. Because we had moved 9 hours away from my half-sister, she would only come visit us on long weekends, a month during summer break. There was always a form of tension between my dad and half-sister. You could just sense it. It got to the point where, as she got older, she stopped coming entirely. Me and Dad have always been close. When I had graduated from high school and gave my valedictorian speech, I could see my dad crying in the crowd. I lived with my dad while I attended college. I still do for the time being. Ever since I was a child, I always wanted to be a doctor. Well, I just finished my first year of medical school. Honestly, I feel like a normal young adult in society. I have a job, friends, a boyfriend whom I've been with for 4 years. I'm thriving in all aspects of my life. Recently, I got a FB message from my half-sister. She was apologizing a lot, and I had no clue what she was talking about. Turns out, the reason why Dad and I moved out from my stepmother's home was because my half-sister told my stepmother that I was watching her change. Yes, she told her mom that I was watching her change. At the time, I was traumatized of sex. Heck, I was terrified of any form of intimacy. The kid was envious of what Dad was doing for me. She was so envious that she tried to move me out. Well, I guess her mom and my dad got into a big fight, and I'm only going to assume that she did not want me in the house. Because we moved out. I think it's safe to assume my dad didn't believe it. How can someone be so cruel? What did I ever do to her? Those were the questions that were racing through my head. I didn't even respond. More importantly, Dad never let this get back to me. Chances are if I had heard about this when I was 16, that would have been the final nail in the coffin. It also explains the tension between my dad and half-sister. This is a lot to take in, and I have a newfound respect and love for my dad. He gave up this marriage for me so I could live a normal life. Dad is away on a business trip and won't be back for a few more days. I'm missing him a lot lately. Should I bring it up to him when he returns? Also, would it be fair for me to just cut my half-sister out of my life entirely? At the same time, it's sad that their relationship is almost non-existent and I almost want to help. TLDR. Dad chose me over my stepmother and half-sister after my half-sister told a very dangerous lie that could have potentially ruined my life. Dad kept it from me for 6 years. Should I bring up with him? Edit. I wasn't expecting such a huge response. I just wanted to say thank you for all the feedback. It will take some time, but I will read all of them, or as much as I can. As I was going through the comments, I found a number of people questioning the integrity of this. This is a part of my life. I don't normally like to talk about this. Aside from myself, my dad and close friends, not many people know about this. The fact that people are saying that it's fake, I don't know what to say. It's not my place to try and convince anyone. Believe me, there are times I wish could convince myself it's not real, but that's not possible. When I wrote this, I wasn't thinking about syntax. It was more just getting this out. People question its integrity based on grammatical errors. Forgive me, but I wasn't in the mindset to reread and go over it. As for how I became valedictorian, and a number of people were very curious, I did respond to it in the comments, but I'll post it here too. It was very unorthodox how I became valedictorian after attending a real HS for only a year. My overall average was the highest in my graduating class, but because I was in online classes for my previous years, I wasn't eligible at the time. I met with the grade coordinator and inquired about my chances, and her response was the same. I broke down in front of the coordinator and I told her the truth. Being named valedictorian was something I always wanted. To be that would have been my first accomplishment that I would have achieved based on my own merit. Yes, there is also the likelihood of getting a free ride to colleges. It wasn't trying to be valedictorian for financial reasons. Money wasn't a problem. Dad did make a lot. It was more this being my first official achievement. This would have helped me self-worth as well. The girl who was originally going to be valedictorian did meet with me and I told her the truth. She actually talked to the administration to let me valedictorian instead. It's something I'll forever be grateful for. That's actually how me and her became friends. Not many people would do that, and in HS. I'll be posting again. I just need a few days. I fell in love with a married man while engaged to my fiancé of 6 years. Now I regret it and I'm trying to reconnect with my fiancé. We've been together 6 years now, and during the 3rd year of our relationship I cheated on him with a close family friend. I had started taking him for granted and it became easy to cheat because I didn't value the relationship. He broke up with me and we were split for months, and the times I was single I realized he is a great BF. I begged for him back and he took me back, but I had to promise to never speak to the guy again. I'm happy to say I never cheated since then and haven't been tempted at all. I understand how great of a partner I have. That being said, the guy I cheated on was a close family friend, and recently I rekindled our friendship behind his back. Nothing romantic. Have you ever met someone who is a terrible partner but a great friend? That's him. I hated the fact that I let a stupid mishap ruin our friendship. My fiancé found out and was angry. I apologized and we talked, and he needed space. He sent me a text of his demands to continue the relationship and I copied and pasted it. His text. After doing some thinking, I can't trust you. Whether it was platonic or not, this is the 2nd time that I know of where I have violated my trust. The hardest part isn't this, but now I have to wonder how many times have you violated my trust or done something behind my back that I just don't know about. You claim this is it, but how can I believe you? I love you and want to work on this relationship, but it's going to require a lot from you. We are postponing our wedding indefinitely. When we first got back together, it took 10 months before I felt secure in the relationship again. I have no idea how long it will take to feel secure again. Eli, I changed the name. We'll be blocked on everything and you're to never speak to him again. This now includes family events. If you know he will be there, do not attend. If you didn't know and he attends, you are to ignore him. I have unrestricted access to phones, social media, emails, etc. Every password I want to know for any device you have. No hanging out with male friends alone. You are to be home by 1 if you do go out with your homegirls. There will be more, but these are my demands and they aren't up for discussion. If you aren't willing to do it, then the relationship is over. Take your time to think about it. End of text. I called him, but he said he's not arguing with me about it and won't call him back until I decide what I want to do. I feel that this is extremely harsh considering the fact I didn't cheat this time. Ever since we got back together, I never cheated on him. OP believes that the punishment is too far. I think I was wrong, but I feel that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I made a horrible mistake years ago. Being friends with someone doesn't equal sign cheating. Even though I was wrong for going behind his back. OP is convinced to follow her BF's rules. Okay, I'll do it. I just needed to make sure he wasn't going too far, but if this is what it takes to rebuild his trust. When commenters say that OP is on her way to cheat on her BF again, she claims, "You don't think I'll follow his rules? Good thing I don't let people tell me what I can't do. I'm going to be laughing when we work through this, get married and have kids." Update 1. We had a really great conversation and he was vulnerable and said it made him feel like I didn't value him. He was crying and it really hurt me to see the pain I caused him. He told me that please let's not go forward with this unless I can promise that I won't go behind his back again because he can't go through this pain again. I told him that I promise I will never hurt him again and will always be honest and upfront with him now. We talked about the rules and he said they will be temporary and will be adjusted when we go to couples therapy. Now it's time to put in the work to repair the relationship. I know it will be a lot of work, but I'm prepared. Update 2. So next month I'll get married this fall. I was with an amazing guy and we worked through a lot of issues together. I thought I loved him and I think I still do, but not in love with him. About 3 months ago at my job, we got a new coworker who is very handsome and extremely attractive. I mean, I have never been so physically attracted to someone in my life. We started to deepen our friendship, but romantic feelings came. I repressed mine, but to my surprise he confessed his feelings to me as well. I told him we gotta think about our spouses, but our feelings continue to grow. He told me he stopped being affectionate with his wife because he feels like he is cheating on me when he does that. He only wants to be affectionate with me. I've started doing the same thing and haven't been intimate with my partner. The big thing is a lot of people will be hurt when this comes out. He can't divorce his wife right away because of finances, but he will as soon as possible. I have to call off the wedding, but I really don't want to hurt my current fiancé. When asked about her previous infidelity, OP says, "I have cheated before and I'm starting to realize it's because I didn't understand being in love. With the guy I'm seeing, we both aren't romantic with our current partners. I don't want to be with anyone but him. Also, he's going to divorce his wife. We have a plan for when his finances get straight." How is she justifying this affair? This is completely different. The first time I cheated was because I was selfish. This time it was because I fell in love with someone else. I didn't choose this. No one picks who they love. This whole experience has taught me how complex love is and that I've never been in love before. This is so hard on OP. That's not fair. I didn't want any of this to happen. It breaks my heart that I'm going to have to call off the wedding, but he's a great guy and I'm certain he will find someone else. I wish I loved him or didn't fall in love with someone else. Because life is more complicated than that. I don't want to hurt him and have been thinking, oh, the best way to tell him. You guys act like this doesn't hurt for me too. You guys are not being understanding or empathetic. When commenters tell OP she's gullible about the married guy, she keeps emphasizing, "I'm going to tell my fiancé. But we can't tell the other guy's wife yet. He's trying to get his finances in order first." Update 3. I took everyone's advice and decided to end things with my fiancé. This was the hardest thing I had to do in my life. I know you guys think I'm a terrible person, but this is an unimaginable situation to find yourself in. I want everyone to know how much this hurts. I really wish I didn't fall in love with someone else. I wish I could make myself fall in love with my fiancé, but I can't. It took me so long to accept this. I hope you guys can understand that I can't convey this enough, that I care about my ex-fiancé. I know this will be best for both of us, even though it's hard right now. When asked if OOP told her ex-fiancé the truth, she says, "I didn't lie. I told him the truth, that I fell in love with someone else. I told him I still care about him. I keep telling you all that I care about him and would never use him as backup. He's a great guy and there's a woman out there who will love him and be lucky to have him. There's no reason we both can't be happy." When commenters tell OOP that there is no way the married man is going to leave his wife for her, she says, he is going to divorce his wife. Unfortunately, divorce is extremely complicated, but he said he will keep me updated. It's not just finances, but a lot of other legal stuff. Since I wasn't married yet, it was easy to end things. For him, it's a lot more complicated than that. When commenters continue to call OOP gullible, she says, "No, I was very clear in our conversation today that I want this figured out by the end of the year. That's plenty of time for him to figure out finances and legal stuff. That way by 2025 we can just focus on each other." Update 4. I realize I treated my fiancé horrible and received my karma. My coworker and his wife are getting a divorce because she found out he was cheating with multiple women. Plural, he's a disgusting animal. He lied to me and others pretending that we were the only ones. I ended things with him. I'm glad he's been exposed. Now, regarding my ex-fiancé, I've taken the time to reflect and realize he's actually my true love. I hate that I hurt him. I reached out again to him, but he said he will always love me, but he's done with me. That was painful to hear. I just can't get over what my coworker did in destroying multiple relationships, including mine. It's painful to see and experience. Edit. I wasn't clear, but I take responsibility for my actions. Just because I'm condemning his disgusting and manipulative behavior doesn't mean I'm justifying my actions. My actions were horrible, but I've learned from them. My wife made negative comments about our daughters posing for her school photos. Am I the asshole for getting angry at my wife over this? I, 60, have been married to my wife, 51, for around 15 years. We also have a beautiful daughter named Hayoung, 17, who is in her junior year of high school. Yesterday after school, Hayoung, pronounced Hayoung, came up to me and my wife and showed me her school pictures, both her individual photo and her group grade photo. They were taken all the way back in February, but they had just arrived today. I complimented Hayoung and told her how beautiful she looked in the photos, before telling her how proud I was to see her grow up throughout the ages, before showing my wife the pictures of our daughter. It did not go the way I hoped it would go. Instead of looking at it for a bit before saying something, my wife immediately pointed out to Hayoung that she was looking too downward at the camera and that her eyes looked strained/forced. I was a bit taken aback at first, but I decided to just keep listening. My wife then said to my daughter that she would have to have rehearsals for school pictures with her for next year, because in my wife's words, Hayoung still doesn't understand how to properly pose, smile, and look beautiful for a school picture. I was a bit irritated, but I let it slide. What set me off though, was my wife then said, Hayoung's picture is a fail. Honestly, Melissa looks the prettiest out of everyone. Hayoung got quiet and said, I'm gonna be honest, my picture this year is really bad compared to sophomore year. I got mad that evening. We had a huge argument in the living room. I told my wife that she was being cruel to our daughter, and since school pictures were over, there was no point being so picky over it. My wife retaliated, saying that even Hayoung says that she doesn't like how she looks in her school picture. I was just being honest, I'm only trying to help her. She then went into her room and started crying, saying that I don't understand her. I will admit, I raised my voice while we were having that argument, and I'm seriously sitting here questioning myself about whether I was an asshole or not. After our argument, I knocked on Hayoung's door and I could tell by her expression that she had listened to every piece of the argument. I feel bad because I may have overreacted to something as simple as school pictures. Plus, I ruined my daughter's evening and my wife's too, and I also made my wife cry. TLDR, I shouted at my wife after she made some comments about my daughter's school photos, and I'm wondering if I'm the age. Edit 1. This is not the first time my wife has said something like this. This is why I feel even more terrible, because I let my daughter suffer like this. I did give my wife a word or two, but I always told Hayoung that this was just the way she spoke and that she really did love her. I really want to cry right now, especially overhearing Hayoung crying herself to sleep last night. She always kept a brave face around me and my wife, but it just breaks me even more, now knowing she feels like she can't talk to me either. I failed her. Hayoung always asked me every morning if she looked beautiful. She would always ask at meal times if she was eating too much. I'm so afraid of the damage we both put her through for so long. I'm so scared she's going to develop an eating disorder, and I'm going to make sure to set things straight with my wife and take care of my daughter better. She is always my first priority. Edit 2. I was taken off guard even though my wife has made responses like this in the past, because though it's not the first time, I had a little bit of hope left that she wouldn't point out Hayoung's appearance that outright in her school photo. Relevant comments. Commenter, I am guessing based on the fake name that your wife is Korean. I know beauty standards there are super high, and she could be projecting her own insecurities and maybe even comments that she got when she was young. Of course this is not okay, but it could be worth sitting down with her and having a talk. OP, you're right, me and my wife are both Korean. The beauty standards there are super tough, so I'm probably going to talk to my wife privately to understand why she said that and check up on Hayoung a bit before talking with my wife. I know she's super shaken up, so the best I can do is be the best father I can. To another commenter. I've lived in the States longer than in Korea now. Commenter, do Korean women tend to have very high beauty maintenance standards? And no, you are not in the wrong. Teenage girls are already extremely sensitive about their looks, so your compliment was kind and nurturing. OP, I cannot speak on the behalf of everyone. I know that the beauty standards are extremely tough there. I've heard people commenting about the fatness, skinniness of people's bodies. I've sometimes heard conversations about K-pop idols' bodies and faces, makeup, surgery, etc. Later that night in comments, hello everyone, OP here. Tonight, since my wife is working a night shift today, I decided I'm going to stay together with Hayoung for a daddy-daughter date. I know it doesn't matter whether we go out or not, all that matters is that I'm with her. I'm planning on making her some of her favorite foods and spending quality time as an apology for not being there when I should have been. She loves japchae, galbi, and cream bunjopang. I asked Hayoung beforehand whether she wanted to stay at home or go out, and she wanted to stay home, and she chose to go with the first option. I'll let you know how it goes. Update post, July 16th, 2024, about 5 weeks later. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for their generous comments and advice. As promised, here's the update. After my wife left for work, I decided to check up on my daughter. She was in her room doing homework, and I could tell by the forced expression that she was not okay. As she talked, everything began to make sense. My daughter overheard her mother shaming her in front of the other church moms. She heard them boasting about their kids, and her mother would use condescending modesty, e.g., "She's gained weight and she doesn't even study hard." She was tired of trying to surpass my wife's expectations. She couldn't stand it when my wife was in the house. She asked me, "Why am I her diamond? She cuts me to make me shine. How more of this should I take?" I prepared all the foods I promised to make, and she was hesitant but ate a lot more than when my wife was around. She wanted to further talk with me. I then asked if she wanted me to tell my wife how she felt. Ha-young said it was the only way to get her to listen, before telling me she wants me to get a divorce. I asked her if she was absolutely sure, as it was something very serious. She said she was fine with it. I'm just devastated it has reached this point. When Ha-young was at school, I had a conversation with my wife. I brought up Ha-young's concerns, along with mine. I asked my wife what made her put down my daughter on the day of the school picture incident. She made excuses such as having bad days, hence she'd accidentally release her anger and other emotions by yelling, the silent treatment, etc. I questioned further if there was anything in the past that was bothering her, which she replied snarkily, "Nothing is bothering me. I raised her into a better person. If you have problems with how I'm raising her, she's all yours. I don't want to argue anymore, especially with a sensitive, lazy person like you." We had a lot of arguments in the past on raising Ha-young. This phrase was used in all of our arguments to shut me up. As Ha-young was consistently used as an emotional punching bag and a trophy for my wife, this was the last straw. I told my wife we were done, then told her to pack up and leave. I thanked her for letting me realize my self-worth. After some time had passed, she had driven to her parents' house and was staying there for a bit. When Ha-young came back, she noticed her mom's room was a lot better than it was and knew what had happened. I hugged Ha-young and told her I was sorry for the mess I had caused, before reassuring her that nothing was her fault. I told her my ex-wife would come back a few more times to collect the rest of her stuff, but our relationship was over. This event shook me up a lot, but I know things will get better. I'm trying to make Ha-young always feel loved. Ha-young, you are my universe, and that will never change. My husband is fucking in love with another woman and wants to try polyamory. I feel like I'm the third person in my own story. Hi. I've been married to my hubby for 4 years and we've been together for 12 years. After a lot of financial struggle, we bought a house and we are now planning to get kids. Thing is, a few months ago my husband felt sick and had to stay home for a while. He decided to pick up an online game and started having weekly sessions with a group of players. Among them is a girl, 30 I think. And long story short, he fell in love with her. He broke down crying a month ago and admitted it. He told me it built up so gradually he didn't understand how he felt until it was too late. They started texting privately after meeting and eventually had one-on-one calls together. Then at some point he said she told him she was in love with him and he realized it was mutual. He said he told her it was impossible but loved her too. They tried to be just friends but they couldn't resist and continued to show affection for each other. He showed me the texts, but also ventured into sexting. She asked if she could meet him face to face but he refused. So he told me all of this, apologized over and over again and told me he couldn't control himself, and while he loved us both, it was me he would choose no matter what. I was still very upset and slept at a friend's that night to gather my thoughts. I decided to forgive him because he clearly felt guilt and wanted to work it out. I told him that while I was deeply hurt, I still appreciated him coming forward to me and being honest about what happened. We got into long conversations about how we were feeling in our relationship. I accepted he could love someone else but said I didn't like how he handled it. He agreed. And then yesterday he asked if I was comfortable opening up the marriage to polyamory. He said he still wanted to live with me and have kids but can't erase nor ignore the feelings he has for her. He says he wants to do it right and let us both see other people, with clear boundaries and communication, and still be present for one another. I'm gonna be honest, it made me very uncomfortable at first. We have several friends who are poly, I know more or less how it works. But I never really thought about getting into it myself. I am not against it, it just never crossed my mind before. I am trying to think it through, but it's a lot to take in. Sorry, my writing is probably messy, but it's kind of hard to focus. I guess it's too early to decide and we have a lot more to discuss beforehand, but still. Could you guys give me your opinions on this? Thanks a lot. Top comments. Commenter 1, I'd be divorcing so fast. Dog of the bone. So he cheated and now wants to be able to keep cheating by calling it poly, lol. Come on. Do not have kids with this man for the love of God, and if you have any self-respect you'll be serving him divorce papers as soon as possible. Sorry your husband is a cheating ass. Swamp cats. You got married under the assumption you would remain monogamous. He is trying to fundamentally change the nature of your relationship. If I were you, I would drop any attempts at conceiving and figure out your next steps. Personally, I would not stay with someone who desired an open relationship. You need to decide if it's something you're willing to entertain or not. Update 1. Hey guys, first off, sorry I didn't reply to all your comments. I am very thankful for them. They helped me realize hard, but fair truths about the whole situation. I waited for a bit to think about it all and had multiple long discussions with my husband. I wanted to confront him before making a final decision. To answer some of your questions, the other girl wanted to meet him, but they never did. Partly because my husband refused, but honestly, mostly because she lives too far from here. I still got checked for sexually transmitted diseases, though, and I'm clean. Yay. As for our polyamory friends, they apparently were the ones who suggested he go down the polyamory road. I stopped talking to them for now. I'll deal with the bigger problem first. I told him his actions hurt me deeply, and that while I appreciated him admitting his affair, it was still infidelity. I told him what you guys said, that turning it into polyamory was merely greenlighting the affair after the fact. That polyamory should be built on mutual trust and communication, which he already broke. That I didn't feel respected. It destroyed him. He said he already knew, deep down, but didn't want to admit it, neither to me nor to himself. We both screamed and cried a lot. He finally admitted he wanted to open the marriage for selfish reasons. He is very sorry. He cut off contact with the other girl, let me fully access his computer and phone, and now wants to go to counseling to repair our relationship and marriage. He has shown me a lot of affection and attention since then, although he admits to himself it's sometimes out of guilt and not just out of pure love. And now I want to make it work too, but am I? Or is it a sunk cost fallacy? I don't know. Our first session is in 2 months, the earliest we could get, and every day I change my mind. Literally yesterday I wanted to leave him, while today I think it's worth giving it a try. Because we've known each other for so long, we understand each other on a very deep level, share a lot of interests, and have already built so much together. He was there for me during hard parts of my life. He took responsibility for his actions, and is really trying. Plus, if I leave him, I'd have to start my life nearly from scratch. Find a new place to live, go back to dating for the first time in 12 years. I don't want to lose everything. It sounds very hard and scary. Am I not too old for this? But at the same time, that's a form of denial, isn't it? It doesn't matter if those years were good. It's not going to be the same. Even if he gains my trust back, even if I forgive him, I'll never forget. I think he is genuinely remorseful, but isn't it too late for that? I am too empathetic. Him being present now doesn't erase what was done. Do I want to stay not because I still believe in this relationship, but because I don't have the strength to ask for a divorce? Because it's the easy choice, some kind of codependency? I have no idea. I can picture both paths clearly, and it's tearing me apart. I am lost, maybe even more than I was when I wrote my previous post. I've lost sleep and appetite, and I'm not sure I enjoy anything in my life anymore. I booked an appointment with a psychologist, for me alone, to help with this whole thing. I am sorry. At this point, I am rambling. I know I am the only one who can decide what's okay and comfortable for me or not. It's ultimately my choice, and my choice only. The emotional hell I am going through just makes thinking about that choice very hard and paralyzing. I'll go to both therapies and try to see what to do from here. I'll try to update, but it's probably going to take a while. I am sorry. I want to thank you again for your support, and I am sending you guys a lot of love. Edit. A couple of infos I should have mentioned but didn't because putting all of that into writing without omitting something is much harder than I thought. He cut off contact with her because once he told him he was married and wanted us both, she just ran away and broke up with him. There are times since then where my husband starts feeling sad or angry because of what's basically withdrawal. And for that he's smart, at least sensible enough not to blame me. What kind of marriage did we have before this crisis? It will sound so naive. It's my first and only romantic relationship. We were very close and basically grew as adults together. We could talk about anything and understand each other. We shared the same values and interests. What changed, I think, is that we got into a routine and he got bored. During our argument he said he was addicted to the attention the girl was giving him and that he felt I didn't show him I was in love with him enough anymore. I told him that even if it was true, he should have told me instead of having an affair. On one hand I have my faults too, and I could accept this as one of them. On the other I was taking care of him in the house while he was sick. I don't think he believes it. I don't think he means it. But it makes me wonder whether I was actually a good wife for him. even though I am not responsible for his actions. Thanks again for your support, y'all. It's a lot to process, but it helps me so much. Relevant comments. OP on if she and her husband have kids and plans on getting counseling. OP, kids are off the table. If we do go into counseling and it goes exceptionally well, maybe we'll talk about it. But for now, the distrust is already there. He says I love you, but I never know whether it's to regain my trust, whether he means it or not. Even if he does he love me, or is it a lie he tells himself? Dog of the bone. If you choose to stay, don't be surprised if in a year you find him talking to someone again. Cheaters are sneaky. They'll show remorse and swear they've changed. Meanwhile, they're smirking inside because they've started a new affair and think they can get away with it this time. OP. Thank you. It's obvious and well known. Once a cheater, always a cheater. But reading it helps me fight denial. I really need to break up with him. If not for myself, just to show him that actions have consequences. Final update. Too long, didn't read, we are divorcing, hooray. Trigger warning, emotional affair, manipulation, self-harm threats, psychological abuse. Hey, I hope you are doing well. A huge amount of things have happened since then. I'll quickly summarize. Feel free to check my profile if you want to know more. It was a very unpleasant ride. So, my soon-to-be ex-husband had an emotional affair online and tried to make me greenlight it by asking for an open marriage, where we'd be allowed to have side adventures. I refused and his affair partner dumped him. He begged me to try to reconcile with him, to which I agreed, while I was actually trying to prepare my exit. We both went to individual therapy, still am. We separated temporarily 3 times, but every time I came back it went terribly. He was desperate. He kept trying to cross my boundaries, love bombing me, playing the victim, asking to touch me even though I established I didn't want to, threatening to kill himself if we were to divorce. I could go on and on. This made me finally realize, along with my therapist's help, a lot of self-reflection and my exchanges on Reddit, that I was in an abusive relationship, which is an important part, actually the most important part, of this update. Please look up definitions and examples of abuse, because I had no idea that what my husband had been doing all these years, even before the affair, counted as such. In his case it was psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, blame-shifting, emotional blackmail, nothing aggressive or mean, which turned me into a very submissive partner over the years, always catering to his needs while erasing mine. I rationalize everything. It happened subtly and gradually, and I was too naive to see it for what it was. His emotional affair and open marriage proposal were the natural continuity of that. Of course, the more I tried to get away from him, the more manipulative he got. Now that I was aware of it, I knew what he was doing. But fighting years of conditioning, even if you recognize it and succeed, is fucking exhausting and disarming. So, earlier today, I brought a friend home to assist me. We sat down, the 3 of us, and I told my husband we were over and I handed him the papers. It might sound dumb, but it's genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was terrified. Yet he agreed. He repeatedly asked me if I was sure. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently, yes. He was heartbroken, clearly mad and frustrated. But still, he agreed. He signed them and went back to his parents for now. We still have to go through the whole procedure, separate our assets, decide what to do with the house and all. And he still wants us to go to marriage counseling. But right now, I feel free. For the first time in months. The last hours have been a mix of tears, celebration, and godly, restful sleep. And I have to thank you guys again, because my first Reddit post was the wake-up call I needed to eventually, finally, get here. Better late than never. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you all. Relevant comments. Theonist on Aurora05. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently, yes. He was heartbroken. That's a special kind of asshole. Was it all for nothing? After cheating on his partner. He sounds like an insufferable dickhead, honestly. Congrats on your freedom. OP. I know, right? The hypocrisy. The nerves of this man. The worst part is that he appears very charming to everyone who knows him, myself included. Hell, a lot of people from our circle, who are aware of what he did, still think he's a good person who just lost himself for a while. I guess it's hard to accept that the ones we love can be terrible people too. Any decision 470. You have been through a long, hard journey, and it will take a while yet, but you are investing in yourself and your health and happiness. Good for you. Continue self-care and practice safety and security. Slow down and heal so that you will be strong and ready to seek and recognize true love. Wishing you a joyous future. You can do this. OP. Thank you. I'll do my best. I like to think the hardest part is behind me, but this story taught me to expect the worst. Whatever happens though, from now on, it's me first. I deserve love and happiness and I'll fight for it. I punched an autistic kid after he groped me and now everyone hates me. Am I the jerk? That grope was the last straw. I have known Troy since nursery, kindergarten for Americans, or just anyone, and he has always been a baby. It was always his autism that made him who he was. I don't know why, but he always had a crush on me. I rejected him gently multiple times, but he never took no for an answer. As we grew older, he got worse. He started commenting on my chest, asking to touch them, asking to see them. His friends kept trying to convince me to show him because nobody would be nice enough to give him a chance. And in year 7, 6th grade, he started groping me. I told teachers, but they kept saying that his autism doesn't make him know any better. It was only me. He got jealous when I was in the presence of another guy. He would have meltdowns and I got into trouble because I knew how upset he would get. No, I didn't. It was like my only purpose was to be his. I wasn't allowed to be my own person. The groping continued. I kept telling him to stop. He didn't listen. I remember crying on the floor and teachers just kept saying that his autism makes him like this and that I'm being a good person by taking care of him. His groping hurt. I don't know how to explain it. He just grabbed my chest and butt hard. And it hurts. The groping continued for 4 years. I was always his caretaker, his girlfriend, his best friend, his. I couldn't stand it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. It was hot and I wore a skirt and he proceeded to put his hands up my skirt and groped my butt. I lost it and punched him around the nose. His nose got broken and unfortunately now I am getting put into isolation for 2 months for bullying an autistic kid. He's not a kid though. He's 16 years old. He acts normal around his friends. He treats everyone else with respect. He's not a kid. Now everyone hates me. I have been receiving death threats and people have been saying he should have done worse. Now all I want to do is curl up and die. Maybe I should have been nicer. Maybe I should have been more sympathetic. Maybe I should have just accepted it. I could have been his only chance. For the record, I don't despise autistic people. He is not a representative of them. He is just an awful person. Troy is just a horrible person. Thank you for letting me vent. Edit. Hi all. I didn't expect so much attention, so thank you for the validation. Giving my context. His parents are prominent people in our community. His dad is a third-generation Army something, IDK, and his mom is known for always holding all of the stuff for kids. Like the summer fairs, etc. She is also part of the school board and friends with the higher-ups, if you will, which is why this happened at all. I wasn't technically his caretaker because I didn't have to feed him, clothe him, etc. I just had to be his friend. His dad is also friends with the police station. They go way back, so that's another reason why they didn't do much. Or just took a statement then wrote him off as mentally disabled. And the police here just suck ass here. Police officers have essayed many women before here. They just get let off, unfortunately, onto a semi-update. Firstly, my parents will look into lawyers. We just couldn't afford one. And I was always too scared to get one. I guess it was because I have been so neglected that I just thought nobody would believe me. However, my other relatives said that they would chip in and pay for a good lawyer. Meanwhile, my parents took me out of the school and I will stay at my grandma's for a while to recover. My auntie is also going to pay for my therapy. So I will enjoy that much-needed therapy. Thank you so much for the kind words. I hope you all miraculously wake up with more money in your bank's accounts than you expected. Edit 2. Hi all. I didn't expect this story to end up on TikTok so quickly. I would like to thank you all again for your words and thank you so much to those who have been reaching out to me. It means a lot. I would also like to point out that this is a throwaway account and I want to stay anonymous. But thank you all so much again for the kind words and comments. I realize that I was never in the wrong. That I am a person. Thank you. I truly hope you all have the best days ever. You all are amazing. Relevant comments from OOP. Comment 1. Is the kid cognitively challenged? OP. Nope. He has mild autism, if that makes sense. He's actually quite good around people. Just not me. IG. Comment 2. I would get law enforcement involved. OP. We tried to. They just didn't care because he is mentally challenged. My parents genuinely tried to do something, but when everyone defends him, they believe the majority. I mean, when I usually say this story, people automatically think I hate autistic people. I don't. Because autistic people don't do this. Horrible people do. Autism isn't the label for assault. The label is sexual assaulter. Update. Firstly, I would like to thank you all so much for your kind words and messages. Thank you for your support and validation. Your words meant so much to me. Also, I thought I would explain the whole "I hope you all miraculously wake up with more money in your bank account" comment. I heard someone in TikTok say this and thought it would be a nice thing to say, as some people did question it in my messages. But yeah, thank you all again. Before this update starts, I would like to say that this all occurred like 2 weeks ago now. I just reached my breaking point and needed to vent. Hence why the update may be soon to some. This won't be the final update, but an update. I would also like to clear the air with my parents. Now, unfortunately, my parents come from a country where this stuff is normal. Not only that, but I am partially to blame as I didn't say anything. Eventually I did tell them and they tried their best to help me. But they didn't know how. Though I do acknowledge their efforts, I am still going to be taking time to heal from them as well. My entire family also had a go at them and expressed their disappointment. The best thing for now is for me to spend some time apart from them. So to begin, I left the school. After my parents had heard that I got into trouble seriously because of Troy again, they basically thought it was time to pull me out. I am due to start my new school in 2 weeks. I have also been trying to settle at my grandma's house as I just needed a fresh start with fresh people. To be honest, I have never felt so free. I have had to deal with that torment for years and years. So now I can enjoy the pleasure of walking home and not seeing him or bumping into him. So I feel great. On to the serious stuff. As I had mentioned, my family basically decided to pay for a lawyer, and we are now hoping to have a lawsuit against basically everyone involved. My grandma also had a go, to put nicely, with the school's board for basically allowing nepotism to harass other girls. She called all of the teachers a disgrace for endangering not only me but other people, and saying how none of the teachers who allowed this deserved to even step foot into a school. This experience has also not been all sunshines and daisies. After the suit was claimed or made, IDK, my parents got letters and messages basically asking for the case to be dropped. My parents obviously said no. But it still didn't stop the harassment. I eventually got harassed too. All of the people giving me death threats decided to go into graphic detail on what Troy wanted to do to me. Spoiler, it wasn't great. And Troy's parents showed up on my doorstep demanding to see me and talk to me, and how Troy is ready to apologize. Thankfully by then my uncle and I had been on the way to my grandma's house. However, my parents obviously didn't let them in regardless, and said that if they wanted to communicate it had to be through a lawyer. The harassment didn't stop. And eventually Troy sent me a message on a burner account detailing all of the things he was going to do if got the opportunity to, and that I should be grateful that I managed to walk away with just a groping. Troy also kept spewing on about how I'm nothing but a whore or slut, etc. And I should be grateful that someone so popular even looked my way. He kept saying how if I'd just let him fuck me, he wouldn't have groped me. However, I know if I did that I would no longer be myself. I would be his property forever. The thought of that makes me want to vomit. Also, his logic doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I just got receipts and blocked him. I also asked my parents to help me change my number. And I did. My grandma, being the person she is, decided that wasn't good enough and got me a whole new phone. She claims it's compensation for my trauma. Thanks, Grandma. I am starting therapy the day after tomorrow, and I am hoping to start family therapy in August, as, truthfully, I don't know if I'm mad at my parents or should be mad. Like, is it my fault for not saying anything? But that's all the update I can give you for now. The lawsuit will be a whole other process, and hopefully if I remember I can update you all again. Thank you so much for your words. I truly appreciate all of you. I hope this update is clear enough for you, and apologies if you made it this far. I had to protect my husband's niece from a pit bull attack while he ran off. I've been ignoring him since then. Should I forgive him for this? I'm going to start with this. I'm still a bit traumatized. I will be finding someone to talk to, and a friend made this account for me because I am not a frequent user. I don't know if the pit bull made it. I haven't asked. My husband, his niece, nephew, and I were in our backyard. I assume our gate was open. I can't remember. The pit bull came out of nowhere and latched onto his niece, 5F. My niece screamed. I turned and kicked it with all the force I could manage. I was lucky enough to hit it in the jaw somewhere that made its jaw dislodge. My husband, who had been a few feet away, shouted something like, "Whose dog is this?" I told him to get our bear spray from the house. I was in a panic. I am an animal lover, but it was so insane. The pit bull seemed almost rabid. In hindsight, I don't think it was. It wasn't foaming at the mouth, it was just crazed. My husband ran, but not towards the house. He literally ran out the fence gate and shut it behind him, not towards his niece or nephew, who was also present in an outdoor bassinet that I managed to toss onto the picnic table to make sure it was out of the dog's reach. While holding his niece over my shoulder, I put her on the BBQ to keep her out of reach. The dog was literally jumping and snapping, and I was worried that if I tried to carry her, I'm short, it would manage to grab her out of my hands. It chased me when I ran for the shovel, but then I swung at it. And I swung until it stopped. I don't think I will ever forget the sound or feeling. It was so high stress I didn't even realize that it had bitten me twice. I haven't spoken to him for a full week, even though we live in the same house. I didn't ask where he went. He only came back a few minutes later to pack us into the car and drive us to the hospital. He's getting angry that I'm giving him the silent treatment, but I feel like it's his fault that I had to possibly end that animal. If he had gotten the bear spray, I literally keep it in my purse in case I'm ever attacked by an animal or otherwise, then I don't think I would have needed to do what I did. It was literally just inside the door. He knows where I keep it. Instead, he took off to God knows where. Me and 2 children, that I'm not even related to, could have died. It might not even be relevant, but I don't even like kids. I am staunchly child-free, and he is the one who offered us up to babysit for the weekend. I don't know, is this grounds for divorce? I'm not sure I can even look at him. Any attraction I had to him is pretty much gone. He tried to touch me yesterday, just to move me so he could pass, and I smacked his hand away without even thinking about it like he was some stranger in a bar because it was literally jarring. He's just been skulking around, trying to talk to me, then getting frustrated, then skulking more. I wasn't expecting him to be macho and fistfight the freaking dog, but at least follow instructions. At least not leave me in a life and death situation with a toddler and an infant. Should I be able to chalk this up to in the moment panic? I don't even know if I want to hear him out. Relevant comments. Commenter. If it makes you feel better, that dog would have been considered dangerous and put down either way. You defended yourself and the children from an unprovoked attack. You were so courageous and saved the kids' lives. Be proud of yourself. OP, I know that consciously, I think, but thank you for saying that because I just feel so terrible. Commenter, downvoted. He absolutely might. Do it again. Would you feel differently if he told you that he was bitten by a dog when he was small, and he just couldn't stop himself from running away? I'm not trying to excuse him. People have flaws, and you have to decide if you can tolerate them or not. OP, no, I wouldn't really. Seeing as I was attacked pretty badly by a dog when I was young, around 10, 11, I still have scars on my thigh. I still like dogs, and I would like to think I reacted appropriately in the situation. Those kids could have died. I could barely stomach explaining his niece's injuries to his sister. I was bawling, apologizing that I didn't do more. I can't imagine if something worse had happened. To a longer comment, we used to camp. I had trusted that he would be able to react appropriately. Also, he doesn't have any childhood incidents regarding animals that I know of. I actually do. I was attacked by a German Shepherd pretty badly, but I still like dogs. Commenter, downvoted. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Everyone reacts differently to treat stress. In the middle of a crisis, some people panic and cannot follow instructions or even hear instructions. They're just in flight or freezing. These reactions aren't really something we can control. I mean, you don't even like kids, and your instinct was to protect and fight. I talked to him about it. OP, I'm trying to. I keep telling myself to try, and then I see him, and I remember him freaking running. I don't know if I want to be with someone whose reaction is flight at all, even if it comes naturally. One more thought from OP. If his niece and nephew had died, I just don't think anyone would give a damn about his instincts. That's the thing, because they could have. Why should he have to protect you? Would you protect him? I expect us to protect each other, I guess is what I mean. I didn't expect him to take one for the team. I expected him to have my back. Update. My friend said that people update often, but I don't know how to attach it to the other post. I thought I'd update since a few things have happened. Sorry if this is needlessly long. I didn't expect this to get so many comments and kindnesses. I want to say I'm so sorry to everyone who has experienced anything similar because, my God, it has not been easy. For everyone worried about my mental health, I got an appointment through an app with my work yesterday because I decided I really needed it and labeled it high priority. However, it felt like just a preliminary meeting. She said she wanted to get me feeling a bit more comfortable because I was visibly tensing up whenever I started talking about it, and she even noticed it through the video chat. Last night, I also told my husband I needed space. I apologize that I don't have more of an update on our relationship than that. I wasn't as nice as I wanted to be. He argued and didn't want to leave. It's my house. But I told him I just didn't want to look at him, but I couldn't look at him. He cried, and I hate that I felt apathetic towards it. I haven't slept well, so I'm not sure if I'm just overtired and still so shaken. I was also emotionally exhausted after the appointment, so that might have added to it. I got a few questions about his sister and her husband, so I thought I'd answer. They aren't speaking with him. I don't know when it happened. I was definitely out of it at the hospital while I was getting the stitches and everything, but I do think after I was done blubbering and trying to explain how something so terrible happened to their little girl under our watch, they apparently asked him where he was. I still haven't talked to him about where he went, so I don't know. However, it clearly didn't satisfy them. His niece just got out of the hospital yesterday, so that really triggered everything and a lot happened. I had sent flowers, a bear, and this one toy she'd been asking about. I didn't go to the hospital though, I was scared seeing me would make her nervous. But his sister and her husband sent me flowers too, and it made me bawl again. I'm just a freaking mess, honestly. The father sent me a long message that I haven't been able to get through, but it's the sweetest thing anyone's ever sent me. He also sent me a $1,000 Visa card. I literally thought I was reading the amount wrong. They are good people, and I still feel terrible that I couldn't have done more for her. Everything's just replaying in my head. Anyway, I obviously haven't looked into filing yet, but I am not against the idea of it, and it really did help me feel better about wanting a divorce over this. I know fight or flight can't be helped, but now I think I realize that it's okay not to want to be with someone who would leave you behind. I think I can say I'm a fighter, and I want a fighter with me. Maybe he'd be better off with a runner instead too. Then he at least wouldn't be leaving someone behind. I don't know. It feels like I'm done. But I'm also just a mess, so right now I'm just glad I have space. Thank you to everyone for making me feel like I wasn't being ridiculous. I think it always feels like there should be multiple issues that tear a marriage apart, unless it's infidelity or something, and it's like I know he may not have meant to betray me, but he still did. Whatever his reasoning. Not sure when I'll be speaking to him, but I will try to update then. Relevant comments. Commenter: I'm so sorry you went through such a horrible experience. It sounds like the parents are thankful you protected their children at risk to your own safety. I know I'd never be able to repay you if they were my kids you protected. I'm glad you have gotten the therapy ball rolling. I wish you and your niece a speedy recovery. That little girl is always going to know how you saved her, and I'm sure you'll always be her aunt, regardless of whether you stay in your marriage or not. I'm so proud of you. OP. They're good people. His message was really soothing to read because I still feel guilty about how badly hurt she was from that initial bite. But she's home now, and I'm glad. I don't know how it works with children in therapy because she's so young, but I hope they get her some. Commenter: downvoted. I read the original post and I understand you. The man doesn't have a masculine bone in his body. Doubt he will ever be a protector. You are in a tough spot and hopefully things get better. OP, I don't need him to be a protector, just to have my back. Which I thought he did, but now I don't believe he would do that anymore. OP support system. I have a decent support system. Though my family isn't close by, they've been messaging and video chatting with me a lot. Hours-long group chats. I think my mom has been trying not to give too much of her opinion on my relationship though. She was more focused on making sure I knew how to clean my wound and finding counseling, etc. She's a former nurse,